Hey, I'm John Henderson, Executive Event Producer at Good Time Tricycle, and you're watching South Jersey Business with Joe Malino.
Welcome to South Jersey Business with Joe Malino. Thank you for joining us as we share information, tips, and techniques that can make our business community and your business more successful. Thank you to Stockton University for the opportunity to produce this show focusing on business in South Jersey. On today's program, we will talk with John Henderson, Executive Event Producer of Good Time Tricycle, with an office in Linwood, New Jersey. John will share portions of his story of success and his entrepreneurial journey, as well as his experience and knowledge of business. I have known John for a number of years, and I have watched him build a brand and a business that does what so many businesses I have known fail to do. John has become a master of attracting thousands of people to the events he and his company produce. He is committed to creating and bringing events to life that people want to make part of their lives. John is also a champion of others and believes in the power of working together. He also supports many organizations and has never been known as someone that stands by while others do the hard work it takes to be successful. Stay tuned for our conversation with John Henderson, Executive Event Producer at Good Time Tricycle, as he produces what is sure to be some solid business talk and more on South Jersey Business with Joe Malino. Welcome back to business. Thanks for joining South Jersey Business with me, Joe Malino. Please welcome our guest, Executive Event Producer of Good Time Tricycle, John Henderson. John, thanks for joining us.
Bro, thanks for having me.
You know what? You're going to be a great guest. I'm excited about the show. Can we talk a little bit about life before you took your entrepreneurial endeavor and you took that leap of faith?
I don't even know that there was life before that, but we'll take a shot, right?
Right. So what were you doing before, and when did you have that light bulb moment of, hey, I want to start my own business?
I never actually wanted to start my own business. I never really even thought about it. I worked for Caesars Entertainment. I was an executive for player development. I was a casino host for a long time. And on the sides, I was kind of doing events. I was doing my thing, having fun. Went to leave Caesars Entertainment, and they're like, no, don't go. Do what you're doing on the outside for us here. I'm like, can I still do my other stuff? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's fine. I was like, yeah, and they gave me more money. So why was I going anywhere? I was like, yeah, I'm cashing checks. So they promoted me to the Director of Business Development for Caesars Entertainment on the Eastern Division. And I produced events like Chocolate, the Food Network Food and Wine Festival, the Yvonne Lendl Tennis Open. So I did a bunch of stuff. And I did it for about 2 years. And I thought, you know what? I don't need you guys. My stuff, and not, I need them. You know, they're sponsors. Caesars, I absolutely need you 100%. But I thought I could do this on my own. I'm producing these events from scratch for a major corporation. My beer festival is doing well. My tattoo expo is doing well. We're about to launch a seafood festival. I've got to make the leap. And, every day, it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
We're going to talk about that decision, but I'm glad it was one of the best decisions you ever made. Let's go back to the name of the company. You had an opportunity to name this creation, this event company that you created. How did you land on the name? Because I know everybody wants to know the answer to that question.
So this was actually a test of my ego, right? Because I've got a giant ego. It's sitting in this chair right here. I didn't want to name it after myself because I just thought, if something goes south, my name's Mud, right? And it's just, I thought, to name it Henderson Event Productions, or it was relatively pompous, you know, and I apologize for anybody named Henderson Event Productions. It suits you. So my wife and I were out and about. We were at Cobweb Corner in Absecon.
Okay.
And my daughter, Lyra, was sitting on this old beat-up tricycle. My wife's like, get off that. You're going to break that, or you're going to get hurt. I said, what are you talking about? Somebody probably had a great time on that tricycle. And hence the name A Good Time Tricycle was born. Because think about it. Have you ever got on a tricycle and had a bad time?
Never. Always have a good time on the tricycle.
So we produce events that are always a good time.
You did a really good job framing up like a number of events in the first couple minutes of this interview, and you built a very solid, sustainable company that continues to grow. But what challenges had you faced along the way? Was there anything that pops out that says, wow, this could have gone in another direction if you didn't overcome those challenges for a business owner that might be starting out that faces some challenges?
Understanding budgets in the beginning is usually a challenge. You've got a vision, and you think this vision will be awesome, but this vision takes fuel that is capital, that is cash. And in the beginning, it was kind of working through budgets and understanding, that if I wanted to deliver what I told people I was going to deliver, and I had to build a budget that did that. And that in the beginning was kind of challenging, figuring out, I was relatively new to, large-scale event production. I mean, we're going back 17 years.
Yeah.
So, that big budgeting piece, I want to make sure that if I say this is what I'm offering, this is what people tend to come to and experience. And I mean, there were a couple events where I got beat up pretty good because, my model was if I say we're doing it, and you're going to have a great time. Win, lose, or draw.
That sounds like one of the best business lessons you learned as well. The budgeting was a huge part of it.
Yep. And then when I talk to students like here on campus, who are thinking about getting in the event world, it's like, remember two things. Deliver what you promise and watch your budgets.
John, thank you for sharing a portion of your entrepreneurial story.
Thanks for having me, bro.
We'll be right back with more business talk with John Henderson, executive event producer at Good Time Tricycle. And we're back with John Henderson, executive event producer at Good Time Tricycle. John, how do you describe success?
Dude, I'm here, bro. Come on, I'm here. Success.
That's pretty good.
It changes, right? Some days I measure it monetarily, right? Some days I measure it by the quality of life. So, it really depends on what. Today is a quality of life day. Today I've been able to, create a program or programs or jobs that I love. I've been able to work with people I love. I'm doing the things that I love. It's a good day.
Throughout the region and every area that you work in, you receive accolades and awards for the work that you do. And while I know personally, that's something that you can look at, but as far as what it does for the group that you work with, the company you work with, the people you work with, as well as the places where you hold these events, how significant are those accolades and awards to those groups?
It inspires confidence right out of the gate. So, you come to a new partner and you have, some form of accolades, proof of accomplishment. They have that confidence in you to say, all right, yeah, I teamed up with the right human being and the right crew to do the job that I need to do.
That's great. Speaking of employees, because people you work with, you have a dynamic group of people that you work with, not only from the employee standpoint, but also from the volunteer standpoint. How do you manage, or I guess I should say, how do you continue to manage finding those quality people?
I've always been fortunate. My success is based off the people that I surround myself with. So it's not my success, it's more like our success, right? So what I look for is dynamic personalities. I look for well-spoken people. I look for people who want to be around and engage other people, and people who are broad thinkers, creative, entertaining. When I see a crowd of human beings, I'm looking for that one person who's peeking out, kind of looking at other things, looking at the picture a little differently than the person next to them. I tend to focus and even hyper-focus on those human beings.
We've done a good job. Like I said, your team is well-rounded and diverse. Let's switch gears a little bit. You built this business over the last decade and a half. You've been in business a long time. But you've also built a family during that same time. You have your wife, Carol, and beautiful children that are accomplished in their own right and doing their own thing and getting involved a little bit with your business. How do you balance the requirements of the work that you do? I know it takes a lot of weekends and things like that. And also, build a family, which clearly you're having a good time doing it, but how do you balance?
Well, you've seen my wife. She's a pretty girl. Of course I had 4 kids. Come on, bro. The balance is there's sacrifice, right? When you take on this kind of level of responsibility, there's sacrifice, and sometimes it's at your home life. So you've just got to be cognizant of how much your family sacrifices and make up for it when you can. As much as we can, we spend time together. My family, at this point, everybody's a little older, so everybody can participate. My daughters participate, even my little one in certain events, she participates. So the balance is as much as it can be is including them, to letting them see what I'm doing every day and what the sacrifice is about.
Not to get into the specifics of how you do what you do, we'll talk about that later, but do you have some great ideas coming from the kitchen table? You're sitting around as a family and they'll say, hey, Dad, what about this? Or did you try this? Does that come out a lot?
The ideas I get is slow down eating. You eat too fast. You should use less salt. and beer doesn't go with everything. These are the only ideas that are coming. My wife likes when we eat or we sit down as a family for me to leave it at the office. When it's her and I, if I want to vent, if I want to, she just wants me. She doesn't want the work. She understands what I go through, and she tries to give me as much as separation as possible.
That definitely explains the balance. I have one more follow-up question for this session. What do you enjoy most of working with the people and the type of events you produce? What's the thing you enjoy most?
I enjoy the audiences and the crowds, right? I'm a people person. I like people. I think people are interesting. They're funny to watch. They're funny to engage with. And when you bring 20,000 people into a room and you can bounce off them like a pinball and have conversations and get to know people, let them get to know you, you sell them on your program that much more. They met the guy they had conversations with. He was a nice guy. He wasn't a jerk. He gave me a high five. He kissed my wife. It's all these things as you're meeting people and creating a kind of confidence. We'll go back to confidence. In the programs you create now, not with a partner, but with the consumer you're trying to bring to the table.
That was one of the best answers I've got to what people enjoy most about their work, and we got more conversation coming on the flip side.
I'm full of conversation, bro.
I love it. We'll be right back with more business talk with John Henderson, Executive Event Producer at Good Time Tricycle. John, we meet so many businesses in South Jersey that are involved in their community, and Good Time Tricycle is definitely involved in the community. I'd like to ask you a little bit about the work you do, and maybe we should start with the food bank, because you do a lot of work with the food bank. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship?
Absolutely. I can talk about all types of relationships. Talk about my wife relationship. Let's talk about the food bank relationship. Sure. When you're successful, it's important to give back, and it's important that the areas that you live in, that you work in, thrive. Your programs thrive. And there's a lot of good organizations that do a lot of good work. The Food Bank. We build that Seafood Fest program. He's a part of Beer Festival. A lot of the revenue on the charity side for the Seafood Fest goes back to the Food Bank. I believe this year we donated $10,000. $10,000 for the Food Bank goes a long way. It's just a fantastic organization that is on the ground doing it in South Jersey.
Yeah, that every dollar you raise for them turns into $8 of food magically for the community. They do a really nice job over there at the Food Bank.
Fantastic job.
One of the other organizations I know you're involved in, and I believe you're on the board, if I'm not mistaken, is Gilda's Club.
Yes.
Can you talk about how you got involved in the work that you do over at Gilda's Club as a board member?
So I had lost both my parents to cancer relatively close to each other, and this organization found me. I didn't find this organization, and they told me what they did, and how they're really not about treating the cancer, but the mental components that people suffer from that are a lot of times overlooked. And I was like, wow, this is a fantastic organization, and people need this. People don't necessarily know where to get that warm hug and the understanding of what they're about to go through. And they asked me to be on the board, and I was ecstatic. And they brought me on the board because of my skill set. And in that, we built the Dragon Boat Race, which I believe last year raised just shy of $100,000 for the organization.
That is an amazing run through a race, which I love to earn that kind of money and raise that kind of money. I guess it's a natural progression if you're involved in Gilda's, then American Cancer Society would be a natural progression to be involved in. I know you support them through a few of the events that you do.
Yeah, so we have friends that are on their boards and work with their organizations, so we always open up our doors. If we've got a catalyst to help benefit a lot of these local charities, we're going to utilize it. If you got a lightning rod, you want to capture lightning, here it is.
You know what's nice? It seems like it's an open invitation when you work with these organizations to interact with the people you interact with. I remember leaving one of the beer fests and seeing an old friend who we were just talking about off air, who's a Dynamite lady, and she's heavily involved. And it was that connection, and it was that feeling of like, wow, now I can give to someone that I not only know personally, but also is there for a really good reason. And it was just perfect the way you timed that out. And I know that's part of your event production background, but those opportunities exist because you bring so many people out. It's part of the design, right?
Well, yeah, and it's important that people who are coming to these programs see that there's people in our area that are here to do good work, and we know you're having a good time, and while you're having a good time, be philanthropic. Throw us a buck, throw us $20. You're doing good work.
And you feel good doing it because you just had a great time,
Yep.
and now you're helping someone else hopefully get through some things that they're dealing with.
It aligns up.
We talked about family earlier in the show. I know because I've fans and friends on the Facebook, but I've also been to your ranch, I'll call it, of animals. The Humane Society is something that you work with, and I know you guys believe in it. Can you talk about how you made that connection?
They cut my dog's balls off.
Goodness. Okay.
No, so yes,
All right.
yes,
Okay.
that's how I met the Humane Society. The Humane Society of Atlantic County. We brought our dog in to get neutered, and I just saw, I saw people doing good work. They were very good with my wife, my family, and it was a very seamless, process. And in that, we heard talking about financials, and I was like, I might be able to help with some of that. And we created for the Seafood Fest the pet costume contest, which is probably, next to their golf tournament, one of the largest fundraisers that they've had in a long time. So we continued to partner, and we were like, well, we've got Beer Fest coming up. Well, we got the Tattoo Expo coming up. And they just, we all love our furry friends. Everybody loves our furry friends. We want to take care of ourselves just as much as our furry friends, because our furry friends help us.
Yeah, they are definitely
So there's a mutual
companions.
healing thing, but yeah, they're great people. They do good work. They place animals in homes. They're a good organization.
I want to personally thank you for everyone that we just mentioned, the work that you do that helps the community. Please keep it going. I know you will, but I want to thank you for your community connection. It means a lot to the community.
I like doing it.
That was John Henderson, Executive Event Producer at Good Time Tricycle, with an office location in Linwood, New Jersey. We'll be back with more South Jersey business. As you are aware, management, marketing, money, and media are the essential parts of any business. And when you are producing events that attract thousands of people, then you need to know the ins and outs of all 4 M's. So it's time for the M4 Big Money Question. Okay, John, let's break it down. Let's talk about your management style. Let's start there. Talk to me about your management style.
I'm loose. My management style is loose. I like to keep as close to my vest as possible, but I let my people kind of run with their tasks. I think the best opportunity to learn what somebody does is just to let them do it. Kind of say, all right, here's your worm, go fishing, but this is what I'm looking to bring back. I want a big fish. I don't want little fish. Bring me back the right thing. So I tend to let people get their free reign so I can understand how they work, and then pull them in and say, okay, I like this. I didn't like this. This would be better for both of us. This would be great for you in the long term. This would be great for us in the ultra long term.
That's great. I want to stick with the marketing part, the second M for marketing, but let's talk more about traditional marketing, because I know you do a lot with media, which we'll get to in the later part of the question. Traditional forms of marketing, I know you use a lot of those, but which ones seem to be working for you? Different events, different types of traditional marketing?
Is there any traditional marketing anymore?
Yeah,
Everything has said
probably
some
not.
sort of hybrid.
Yeah.
Newspapers now are so digitally driven. Television, everything's digitally driven. This whole interweb thing is going to be hot.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the interweb's going to be hot. If you can buy stock in the interweb, buy it. So, I like TV.
Yeah.
I like TV because people are still going to watch TV. They're going to sit in front of your couch, dumb it down. I love sports channels. I love, and I know that works for our programs. I know that when I'm doing something, it's easy to sell on TV. Digitally, I like that. I love a billboard. I love a giant image. I think it's catching. You can have fun with it. You can put your message across, and you can grab people and hope they don't crash.
You know what's great about the way you market too? Every one of your events have very, although they change year over year, they have very great visual collateral material, the logos that you continue to use, but then you update them with some great artwork. And those transfer really well onto the postcards and the posters. And I think that I would put that more in the traditional category of print, but how you use those images allow you to get into the other part of the M's, which would be more the media.
Well, it's important. My look, it's a piece of art. So, if you look at any one of the events we've done, it's got to jump out. People got to go, oh, that's important to us.
Absolutely. All right, you talked about budgeting earlier in the episode, but I want to revisit that. Money is one of the 4 M's. Can you talk a little bit more about that and share some of your wisdom on your view of money?
Money is fuel, bro. Money is fuel. It's fuel for your programs. It's fuel to feed your family. You just got to understand your budgets. I mean, when you're looking at building a program, and it holds true for any business, stick to your dollar and cents. Don't spend what you can't spend. Don't borrow what you can't pay back, and understand what you're putting your money into. A lot of times, I see people who make attempts to do what we do, and that is one of their key mistakes, is not putting the money in the right place or understanding how far their money actually goes.
Now, probably by watching a little bit from the sidelines and engaging with you quite a bit, media, social media, PR seems to be your sweet spot. People like covering what you're doing. You do a great job covering what you're doing on social media. Talk to me about the significance and what social media has meant, because you've grown your business along with social media's growth. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I hit a fortunate time period, right? As I was really kind of spreading our wings in the events world, social media just started to kind of peek its head out. So we were able to kind of grab it when it was a caterpillar and hold on as it became a butterfly and use it, to its ultimate capacity. I mean, I follow all the Facebook trends, and I'm watching, their wonky algorithms, Instagram. We were on Instagram well before Instagram was a thing. Just knowing that, people want to look at pictures. They sometimes don't want to read stuff. Video, the ability to utilize video, short clips, live streaming has been a massive asset because we can put our message across. You can be silly. You can actually create your personalities of your event's personality as you build the event, so people can say, "Hey, I relate to that. That's what I want to do. This is the lifestyle I'm in. That event speaks to me," and they buy a ticket.
John, that was one of the best answers we've received on the M4 Big Money question. I want to thank you for sharing.
That's what I'm here for.
There you have it. Executive event producer at Good Time Tricycle, John Henderson's perfectly produced answer to the M4 Big Money question. Sounds like a well-executed plan for success in management, marketing, money, and media. Welcome back. On today's business drill, we will stick with today's theme of the festive world of festival events and discuss a few lessons we can learn from event production that we will call Festival Business Fundamentals. Today's guest reminded me that so much work goes into operating a business that produces successful events. Here are a few basic tips and strategies inspired by the festival industry. Plan for success and failure. Everyone wants to hold successful events, and everyone in business wants to be successful. But the reality is that many will struggle and experience levels of failure before being considered a success. When writing your plan, identify what could potentially go wrong or even plan out the worst case scenario. Then prepare a strategy for what to do if the negative outcome materializes. That way you will be prepared for both success and failure. Learn the logistics. Logistics can be defined as the detailed coordination of a complex operation involving many people, facilities, or supplies. When you produce an event or run a business, you are dealing with logistics. Maybe for your business, it could be a less complex operation in the size and scope, but you will still potentially deal with people, facilities, and supplies or product. The more you learn about all the above and study your options, the better chance you have at being successful. Always add something new. New ideas and concepts can and should be created at any time. Year after year, the most successful annual events add elements to freshen up their offering to become more interesting to the attendees. Running a business every day can be tiring. If you feel tired, there's a good chance that the offering or your location could look tired. Focus on a few elements each week to freshen up your space or bring something new to your business products or services. Sell out without selling out. Success in some circumstances is measured in volume. When thousands of paying attendees show up for an event, the event may be deemed a success. Some of the most successful events and businesses are those that manage large number of attendees and customers, but stay true to their mission or beliefs. Sometimes that is easier said than done. And if you and the people that you work and partner with are focused on the quality offerings and customer service while still keeping your core beliefs, it can be the best way to sell out your products, services, or event without selling out. So let's take a moment to review today's drill. Number 1, plan for success and failure. Number 2, learn the logistics. Number 3, always add something new. Number 4, sell out without selling out. So there you have it, 4 quick tips, strategies, and some things to consider inspired by producers of events when you are trying to produce better business results for this week's business drill. Mike, we meet so many great businesses across South Jersey that are involved in helping their community, and Atlantic City Your Way and you personally are no different. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with the Greater Atlantic City Golf Association?
Yeah, for the last year, I've been the director of the organization, and we do some marketing and advertising. And it really is a great example of taking a bunch of people in an industry and combining your forces and getting a little bit of a marketing budget and promoting one of the great assets of our destination is golf, and probably a lot of people don't even know that.
Golf is such a great driver for economic development and visitation. But getting back to how you did what you did, over the years I've watched you be so involved in different organizations. So for maybe somebody coming up, what tips would you give for someone that's a newer business on how to plug in and help their community?
I would say, believe it or not, I'm a pretty shy guy, down inside. But you say, you have to put yourself in situations. Go to a meeting, go to a business marketing or a networking event, and say hi to people and tell them who you are, and then that leads to other things. And then you could volunteer for, say, the Good Old Days Festival or Bayfest at Summers Point, which was one of the first things I did many years ago. You have to give of yourself, really. Just put the time in and put yourself, it may feel vulnerable to do it, but do it, and usually more good comes out of it than is worth whatever discomfort it is at first.
Mike, what is your vision for helping the community in the future?
My ultimate vision would be similar to the Golf Association, create other awarenesses of Atlantic City tourism. Like, let's say there was a spa association, and they combine their forces in marketing, and it could have a great impact on people coming here in February and March, which is prime spa vacations. And we have nightlife, and we have so many things to do here. And if we could concentrate on each one of them, like we did with golf, and create awareness and marketing, and then have the community support us back, I think that could really help Atlantic City going forward if we're going to be more than just a casino destination, and we really need to be.
Mike, I want to thank you for sharing the ways in which you're helping the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
That was Mike Charlton, founder and creator of Atlantic City Your Way. We'll be right back with more South Jersey Business. The crew here at South Jersey Business appreciates those of you that tune into the show each week. From time to time, we receive questions from our viewers, and we always do our best to respond to your inquiries. So it's time for Q&A. And here's this week's question. Dear South Jersey Business, I am constantly asked to participate as a vendor at area and regional trade shows. What are some of the ways to get the most out of the event when there is a cost to attend? Thanks for the question. The trade show and convention business is big business in our region. Not every trade show is big. Many smaller trade shows are held by local and regional business groups. So how do you get the most out of participating as a vendor in a trade show? First, plan for your trade show table or booth space to look as different from the others as possible. Think about color and style. Then incorporate both into your space. Another way to get more business and traffic to your trade show is to invite the attendees in advance to visit you at the trade show. Request a list of past attendees and mail them an invite to engage you at your location in the show. Collect contact information, and whatever you do, be memorable. When you follow up after the show, people will remember you. I hope that helps to answer your question. We'll be right back. Well, that's the show. We had an informative discussion with John Henderson, Executive Event Producer at Good Time Tricycle, with an office in Linwood, New Jersey. We answered a question and even learned a few festival-inspired ways to increase business during our business drill. Once again, thank you to Stockton University and everyone that makes this program possible. Let's do it again next week. And until then, let's get growing, South Jersey. Thanks for watching.